Episode 197. Coach Nick interviews Tyhson Banighen, the Illuminator. Welcome to the Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyhson Banighen, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more.
Play. You know, you could be watching anything right now. It is the internet. So when I say you could be watching anything, I literally mean anything. It is all available for you. However, you decided to press play and watch this edition of the Inside Scoop. And for that, I am super grateful for you. I know you're going to get a tremendous amount of value out of this Inside Scoop. Our guest today, or your guest today, he's phenomenal. I had the pleasure of having a conversation with him just about a week ago, and I felt like I could just talk to him forever. He just has so much knowledge and great things to share. So I'm super excited about what we're going to be chatting about today, what you're going to learn from Tyhson. Now, we're going to bring Tyhson into the conversation in just a moment or two. First thing I want to do is welcome all the new people to my page. I've had a lot of friend requests just come in over the last couple of days. Thank you so much for hitting that friend request button. I so appreciate it, and welcome to my Facebook family. Now, just in case you are brand new to this page and you may be wondering, well, who exactly are you? And what is this whole freedompreneurs deal that you got going on? What is all of that about? I want to be able to answer those two questions. So first of all, my name is Coach Nick. I am the co-founder of the Freedompreneurs Club. I'm the author of the book, How to Become a Freedompreneur, 10 Ingredients to Living Your Freedompreneur Lifestyle. And over the last several years, I've been coaching and training coaches and healers to generate more sales online without using ads to become freedompreneurs. Now, you may be wondering, well, what exactly is a freedompreneur? Well, a freedompreneur is someone who works when they want, where they want, whenever they want, with whoever they want, doing the thing you love to do. So that mission, that passion, that story, that inspiration, that talent, that message, products, or service that you know you were meant to bring out to the world in a big way. The club is the place where you come to get equipped with the tools, with the strategies, and the support to creating that as your reality. Now, your guest today, Mr. Tyhson Banighen, is a freedompreneur because he is literally bringing his energy, his message, and his whole spirit and helping people in a big way. Tyhson is a master dozer, channeler. He's worked with different spiritual modalities and practices from all around the world. He's got a super passionate heart about helping people reach full enlightenment, body, mind, and spirit. And he's here helping people become sovereign individuals, which that sounds like a freedompreneur to me. So welcome to the show, Tyhson. How you doing today?
Well, thank you for inviting me to your show. I'm doing really, really well. I'm really excited to be on this show.
Thanks so much, Tyhson. I do see that we've got a few people that are leaving some comments with us. So Marie says, has it started yet? Well, yeah, we just started, Marie. So thanks so much for being here. We appreciate you tuning in. And Christy is our mutual connection. She introduced us. So thank you so much, Christy, for being here. Appreciate you and what you're doing. Christy's got a wonderful show as well. So you guys connect with Christy and what she's doing. Wonderful work. So if you're out there right now, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that love button, send some of those bubbles across the screen. We love that. You know, leave some comments below. We invite you to ask questions, leave comments, tell us what you're all about, tell us what you're learning. Ask Tyhson questions directly. I'd be happy to facilitate those questions and make sure that he gets them. And of course, I invite you to share this video out. I'm not saying anything too prophetic when I say that social media could kind of be a little bit of a dark space. You know, there might be a few negative Nancys out there. Well, the Inside Scoop serves to be a light in that darkness. And so by you simply hitting that share button and sharing this out with some folks, you may actually be transforming someone's life unknowingly. You know, it takes one message, one idea, one spark that allows somebody to hear something that they need and then send them on a completely new direction or find something maybe they've been searching for a lifetime or lifetimes to hear this information. So let's share this video out and share this message of spiritual inspiration and spiritual enlightenment with as many people as we can. Truly, you're helping this world become a better place by doing so. So I really encourage you to do that. And thank you so much, Christy, who said shared. And she's also sending us a nice heart. We appreciate that. And Maria says, got it. So thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. All right, Tyson, let's jump into a little bit about who you are. And then we're going to talk about what I've called the beautiful struggle, which is really what I call the spiritual journey, the beautiful struggle. So tell us a little bit about your own beautiful struggle and how you became who you are today.
Yeah, well, I was born in 1945. I guess in one way that you could look at that as, the end of the war, a baby boomer, an exciting time on the planet, but also great confusion about, how do we raise kids? How do we do all this? And so I grew up in a very loving family, but it went through divorce, all sorts of things. But I was the odd person out. I quickly found out that what I knew intuitively didn't make any sense. So I was always waiting for somebody to come and pick me up. I mean, an interdimensional craft to show up and take me home.
Right.
Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I had to learn how to try and find what would you say, the rule book or the manual for planet Earth, because it made no sense to me whatsoever. People would say, well, how are you doing? And they didn't really care how you're doing whatsoever. In school, they say, what do you think about this? They didn't want to know what I thought about it. They wanted me to parrot back what they thought I should know. It just went on and on. Luckily, I had a really good friend. His name was Ronald Waldy. He was an honors student. And he said, come to university with me. I said, no way, I've had to repeat grade 12. I'm not going to do that. He said, no, I'll teach you how to do all this stuff. So we made a pact. I went to university with me, and he took all my how to study books and burnt them. And then he told me what people wanted to hear from me. Not what I thought they wanted to hear, but what people wanted to hear from me. And from then I became a grade 8 student, first class, because I learned how to live on planet Earth. What do they really want? They want you to fit in. They want you to be a pair. So anyway, that got me really thinking about, well, why am I here? Why do I think differently? Why do I have this insight into how people, how magnificent they are, and why don't they see that themselves? And then I got myself into trouble by talking to people about the fact that I could see their inner beauty, and they weren't ready to hear that. So make a long story short, I really got interested in impersonal transformation. What does it mean about full body enlightenment? What are the royal paths to reach that? How do I help people do that? And how do I discover that path myself? So that's really in a nutshell what I'm all about.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I love your story because I can relate to it so much. And I think anybody who's connecting to this video can relate to that. Hence why we would all be connecting with each other, is this idea of, geez, this place doesn't really make sense. They ask me, what do I think? But they don't really want to know. They ask me how I'm doing, but they don't really care how I'm doing. And it just seems very backwards in many ways. And that idea of being a parent, just look, this is what to say, this is what to do, this is how to act. And so many people I find have no personal sovereignty or freedom in that. So why do you think that so many people are not finding personal freedom? Why we are just going with the status quo or going with what we've been taught? While I feel that so many people, so many souls out there want to break free, want to express themselves, want to be who they are, but they're not doing that. What do you think keeps us stuck and not experiencing that personal sovereignty that you speak of?
Well, because the matrix really slaps you around, slaps your knuckles for deviating from the path. I mean, the greatest fear I had was that, if anybody figured out how I saw the world and my intuitive abilities, they might lock me up and I might never get out. And I know that sounds scary, and I don't want to be scary, but I've met so many parents who have actually been hounded because they have gifted children that the establishment or whoever wants, and what they've had to go through. So I know what I felt intuitively, that I had to shut up and be underground, so to speak, or not put your head up on the horizon. Or what's that little guy, with his nose that comes over the fence? He had to be just over the horizon so you could see.
Right.
Eroy, isn't it? Yeah. So I was really having to be really cautious. So helping people, getting to the stage now where I'm in my 70s. I don't care what you think about me. I have nobody to answer, but nobody can fire me. I've got nowhere to fit in, and I don't want to fit in. I want people to understand at a very early age. If somebody would tap me on the shoulder in my in my teenagers or early 20s and said, just settle down, just be you. You're magnificent just the way you are. Just show up and shine your light. That's all you have to do. Stop trying to fit in. Stop trying to figure out what the matrix is all about. Stop trying to figure out the rules of the textbook. Just be you. And if people have a hard time with it, that's fine. That's their problem. You just show up and be you. And I wish somebody had tapped me on the shoulder and said that to me. So I want to tap as many people on the shoulder and just show them how brilliant we are, that I can see this inner God being that is so incredible that they don't recognize yet because they're so busy trying to fit in.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think that there is definitely some kind of awakening happening, or more people like yourself, like these shows. We're seeing more and more of this happening on the internet, at least in our world, right? I know that generally, most people aren't tuned into something like this, but there are more and more people gravitating towards the spiritual process and journey. What do you think that people are looking for, that so many people are deciding to gravitate towards this spiritual process now?
I think to get themselves, really in a corner and don't know where to go energetically. So, for example, I'm a dowser, an energy healer, and I found in my work as a master dowser that 75% of the population or larger has 50% of their energy going elsewhere. So what do I mean? I mean, it doesn't matter what quality water you drink, what good food, yoga, whatever you do to manage your energy system. When you get up, 50% of your energy is going elsewhere. So, and a lot of them are at 75%. That means they're only operating at 1/4 of their capacity. So I say to people, at 50%, how would you like to wake up in the morning and have twice as much energy? Or the person at 25%, how would you like to wake up and have 3 times more energy? And I think people can relate to that. People are exhausted, trying to fit in, trying to run on the treadmill of what's being presented to us as how to accomplish things, or what success is, or how many toys you need to have in your backyard is exhausting. So the stress, duress, leading to disease and disorder, I think is really taking people's physiological and spiritual, emotional bodies down. And my job is to help them become sovereign human beings, to recoup that energy, how to do that, and so that they can show up and be the best they can be. The other part that I'm involved in is helping them discover what are their divine gifts and what is this incarnation all about. And what are those unique gifts they're here to deliver to the world? Because everybody is here with unique gifts. So that gives you a sort of an overview of, well, I think the consciousness is rising, and there's no doubt in my mind we still got a long way to go if 75% of the population is only at 50% of their ability to show up and be awesome or light beings. We've got some work to do.
Now, you say that our energy is going into all these different places. Like, we're not only operating, where is our energy going?
Great question. Thanks for asking that. There's 2 major ways in which the energy is being drained. One is external, which is, the last time I looked it up, it was like 2,800 man-made interrupters into our bioenergy field. This is, everything from cell phones to cell towers to smart meters to mind control to government intervention to you name it, right? So that's the outer. And the toxic chemicals that are around us, radiation, nuclear, all that. Okay, so that's draining our energy field. In the inner realm, what's draining us is unresolved conflict, trauma, core fractures, toxic emotion that we picked up because we tried to fit in, tried to make ourselves fit into whatever was going on in our family of origin, or trying to relate to our soul family because we're incarnated with an agenda. from our soul family, or we have the patriarchal lineage that thinks we should be cleaning something up on their behalf. All these forces that are in the internal realm that need to be dealt with, so for us to discover who we are as sovereign human beings. So when we take that energy back and learn how to process it and ground it and handle it, and then we become more sovereign. We have more energy. The more energy we have, the more light we can ingest as light beings, the more our kundalini is activated, and the more enlightened we become.
Wow, very powerful. I got to ask, I wrote this down as you were just chatting. Two things: mind control and government intervention. Can you just elaborate on what you mean by that?
So that's a whole topic on its own. This is scary stuff. This is, Ultra K, mind control, going on since the 50s, Montauk, interdimensional travel, all done with highly brilliant young people, and they're still being taken off the street now. That's just why this is a very, very touchy subject. I mean, the government still, all the governments in the world are still hunting down these kids that are extraordinary ESP gifted to put them into these mind control experiments, for anything from intergalactic space travel to doing remote viewing to you name it, right? So harvesting the human mind is really what many, many governments are doing under the guise of social security, that if the Soviets are doing it or the Chinese are doing it, we need to do it. So they're becoming warriors. And as we move into 0 point in our technology is going to now supersede our ability to be able to manage it. So now we become robotic. So now there'll be no distinction between humans and sovereignty and robotics. So we're moving quickly to this. We're like 20 years away from this. And so teaching people what it means to be sovereign so that you don't get lost in this matrix. You could already see it. Cell phones, how the kids are head down in their cell phones, how they're already in the matrix that is occupying 100% of their time. You take away a kid's cell phone, it's like the end of the world to them. Right. So we're already part of this matrix. We're already being co-opted on every level. So to get separate from that, or to return to our inner natures, or connecting to nature, is the royal pathway back. But so many kids and people have little to no connection with nature on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. I appreciate you. I know that we can go far into that. That's not what this show's about, but I did want to just ask what is specifically you meant by that. And I mean, there's tons of information. If someone's out there and you're wondering, what is Tyhson talking about? Do your own research. I suggest that you start to research. There's tons of information available on some of the experiments that have been going on, like you said, for years. Governments have been testing ESP, have been testing psychic abilities. They've used remote vision, in wars. This is all documented, and it's there. It's just that most people are not plugged into this type of conversation, or they chalk it up to conspiracy theory. What would you say to someone who says, well, that sounds like conspiracy theory. That just sounds like a lot of way out there type of stuff, maybe to the skeptical mind who goes, I don't know, that seems kind of out there. What would you say to someone that maybe be battling with their skeptical mind on this topic?
I can understand, because people are actually hired from Ultra K and elsewhere. They made a whole attempt to co-opt the whole broadcasting system and our news so that there would be false evidence. So, for example, with Roswell and the space, crashing of the spacecraft there, the counter story, the counterintelligence was started immediately that it was balloons, it was this, it was that. So there's so much energy put into countering the real story with false stories. So, when we talk about, false news, this has been going on since the government's been trying to cover up their agenda of what's been going on with alien races since the 1940s, from the time I was born. And in fact, before that, in the ending of the war, they were already, the Nazis were already working with off-world ETs. That's how they developed the technology. That technology got swallowed in paperclip right into the US. So the very thing that they were fighting about is now part of the American fabric, where mind control and all this stuff, working with ETs, is part of the agenda. So the government has a high priority in confusing the story so that you will be skeptical, like you just said, Nick. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Oh, that couldn't be true. My government is here to protect you. No, it's not. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because that's really not what this conversation is about. But if you're going to research this, and please do, stay out of fear. Know that love is the dominant energy. When you come from compassion and love and forgiveness, which is the highest energy, you can transform all of this agenda of mind control and co-opting humans and putting us in the matrix and making us into, robotic, machine-driven, a hive mentality. All this can be countered by the very things that Nick and I are talking about, is becoming a sovereign human being, taking back your personal power, standing in truth no matter what, learning what full body enlightenment is, following a spiritual path, allowing yourself to digest pure light energy and become, you could say, a light warrior, but I've hung up my shield and my sword, but literally being a counterforce to it through being in your heart and full of love.
Yeah, I love that. So let's move into that conversation. Talk to us about what is a full body enlightenment in the way that you're describing it.
Well, many religions and traditions talk about, resurrection or, or afterlife, or all those are expressions of out of body, that somehow in order to experience nirvana, or we have to be off world, or we have to be in another dimension, or a higher dimension, or a multi-dimension, or we have to be in heaven, or we have to have, the whole Holocaust happen on planet Earth so that we have the resurrection of the Christ happening, or whatever the story is. The real story is no. In our DNA, right here, we have the capacity as full-bodied, enlightened human beings to do that right here in this body, is transmute it into a light being. That's what this is all about, not an off-world experiment. And if we do that, we allow the earth to co-create with us a new earth, a new way of being. And if we don't do that, and we think about doing it as an off-word or in another dimension, granted that as well, but we'll lose the sovereignty of the earth. And for me, I love this earth. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. I want to see heaven on earth. I want full body enlightenment right here, right now, on this planet, not some other planet.
Yeah, love it. Fantastic. So, I mean, there's many people, and anybody who's plugged into this show or, is interested in this type of conversation, they are already on the spiritual path, because there's no way that you're plugging into this conversation if you're not, right? So tell me, I titled this show, The Beautiful Struggle. What is the struggles, maybe in your own experience or generally, that people face to actually embrace what it is that you're talking about, that I can reach the full, samadhi or nirvana or, whatever you want to call it, salvation, here and now? What are the struggles that so many people, and maybe yourself, if you want to share, that you have faced along the way, so we could talk about the reality of what that journey looks like and feels like?
Well, the biggest one, like we already talked about, is fitting in, and feeling that your intellect, your rational mind, is the dominant force, and that you don't really know unless you know intellectually, which is really a big fat lie. Yeah, I mean, I have a master's degree. I've done the intellectual. I've learned how to be a scientist. I know how to play those games, but they're games. They're really like games on the chessboard. They're rules, and there's ways of thinking that you have to conform and have some fundamental incorrect assumptions in order to play these games. And you can play them well. But to step off the chessboard of light and dark, good and bad, right and wrong, and all the rest of that, and go to the higher level game, which is called the Tao, or 0 point, or the in the zone, or free energy, or however you want to describe that higher state of consciousness, where the opposites collapse into the totality, where the where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, if you want to come from systems theory. That's the state that I'm talking about, where we cease to war against ourselves and others. And in that dwelling in that solitude in our heart, in that cave within, in that peaceful place, we are now available to receive guidance from Source through your higher self. Now we can talk to universal consciousness. Now we can be guided. Now we don't need our rational mind in the libraries and the textbooks and Google and our cell phone in whatever ways that we feel that we need to connect to the world. We are connected to true source energy, and now we're being guided. Now we're in the right place at the right time to meet the right people. Our life flows with ease and grace. It's all synchronistically unfolds like you and I meet through Christy. It just becomes effortless. And yes, the mind is a partner in that. Yes, the mind, we can use the mind to send, to figure things out and to make intention statements, say to our subconscious, to run certain programs so that we can manifest things in our world. But it's not the dominant force. It's an adjunct. So now we're not operating from the left intellectual brain, and we're not over being woo-woo on the right brain and being spaced right out, as a light worker, not grounded earth. We're talking about now whole brain synthesis. This is really what I feel is the next evolutionary step for us, is to understand how to use those two aspects, not that one's more dominant than the other. It's the yin and the yang of how we use our intelligence, our heart intelligence, our gut intelligence, and our head intelligence.
Yeah, I love it. And I mean, for me, that's like, to me, that's Krishna consciousness. That's God consciousness. That's Christ consciousness. That's, that's transcending, that's getting into the oneness, God meaning one, omniscient, omnipresent, and collapsing the dualities as you've described it, right? And now because who are you fighting against if there's only one, right? There is no fight, right? In that way. So I really like where you're coming. What is the struggles that people face to getting to a space where they can actually collapse those dualities? And I think that we all have moments of it. Maybe we've experienced, like you said, getting into the zone where you're in that flow. You just know what to do next, and you do it, and you're good with it, and you're peaceful and contentful with the whole process. Maybe we've all had those touch, but how do we get there, or what is the struggle of getting there consistently?
Yeah, great question. I could say a couple of things. For me, meditation is the royal road. It's to still the mind, go into my inner heart, and in that space, I'm at the stage now that I'd rather be there than anywhere else. So, and learning, being an academic and coming from that, my whole life has been push, struggle, and to surrender that and say, no, stop, step away from the desk, put your hand, push away from the computer, go sit in meditation, and boom, as soon as you do that, the next step is available, the solution to the computer problem, whatever, it's all there. So why struggle trying to intellectually figure something out when you can just be still? And in that moment in the stillness, as soon as you're still, boom, it's there for you. That aha, that eureka, which by the way is the basis of all science. Science is after the fact of the aha. The eureka, that knowing, is a flash. You have a dream, you have a vision. Einstein talks about this. All of them talk about it. Then they go to the lab and they try and scientifically prove it so it's replicable. But the initial aha did not come from the brain. It came from the heart. It came from the connection to source. So that's one aspect, is to still the mind. The other thing, and this comes from the Tao, which is really, really helpful, is you have a choice in every moment. Do you come from your human mind consciousness, which is doubt, fear, shame, guilt, oh my God, I got to fit in? Or do you come from your true nature, which is one with source consciousness, like we talked about? And you have that choice in every moment. Just like we said, if you go research all this mind control, you have a choice. Am I going to do this with fear? Oh my God, this is horrible. I got to do something about this. Because now you're part of the problem. Or do you approach it with divine love and compassion that this is what we want to transform, but we want to know about it so we can transform it with love. So if every moment you have this choice, are you coming from human mind consciousness, which are the lower vibrational emotions that ETs and others feed on, which is shame, guilt, fear, doubt, all that, which is the food of why they want you to keep you trapped in the matrix, ugly stuff, or do you want to free yourself by going back to your true nature, which is stilling the mind and connecting to source? So that's my limited approach.
Yeah, fantastic. And one of the things that keeps us separated is the spiritual or religious dogmas, right? So you mentioned you're a practitioner of the Tao, right? Most people who know me know that I am a practitioner of Krishna consciousness, right? And sometimes I'll even get messages. Sometimes, Nick, you're going down the wrong path. Generally, that comes from some of my Christian friends. Tell me I'm going down the wrong path. But they are still living in the duality. And I'm not saying all Christians believe this, because I have some wonderful, wonderful Christian followers and followers of Jesus who have transcended duality. They see the oneness in it all. So how is it that how do we view these different traditions or these different cultural aspects of our own traditions? How do we transcend those so that we could truly get to the essence or to the oneness, collapsing the dualities, as you mentioned? Is there any techniques to do that? Like, is there a specific type of meditation you use or a specific technique that you use?
Yeah, great question. The thing is to realize that the aha that we talked about, or the eureka, or the divine flash, or the cosmic writing on the wall, or the flame letters, or however you want to describe that, or the burning bush, or whatever, is an aha, intuitive, connected to source moment. And that's what you're looking for. Anything that's describing it afterwards is going to be culturally biased. And it may be beautiful.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, if the teachings of Krishna, or the teachings of Christ, or the teachings of Buddha, and all the sutras and all this stuff that I need to study and even teach because I'm in the Tao, is beautiful stuff, but it is not the Enlightenment. It's only talking about it. Those are the rules and regulations, and you have to be careful because they can be used as weapons. Oh, you didn't do this. Oh, you didn't do that. Oh, the 10 precepts of the Buddha. I can see I'm not doing it. Oh, I'm in guilt. I'm in shame. Or, oh, you're not doing it, and I can judge you. A bunch of hooey. It's got nothing to do with that. Those are only guidelines. The true spirit is in the transmission that you received from your teacher, right? Of knowing that's that connection from there through that golden thread back to source. That's the connection that allows you to remember who you are. It's not in the liturgy. It's not in the Bible. As much as I love the Bible, or as much as I love the Quran, or the Bhagavad Gita, it's not there. That's one of the key concepts.
Yeah. You talk about the golden thread, or the lineage, right? So in our tradition, we call it the parampara, the disciplic succession of spiritual masters, right? That link to it. How important is it to taking to some guru or spiritual master on the spiritual journey?
Well, all I know is my learning, whether it's been in energy healing or any other field, comes from being in the presence of somebody who knows, who's already been there. Right. So one of my teachers made it really clear. It was called Sacred Body, and it was all these ways of helping people who have cancer get back into their body so they could heal. And she would demonstrate a technique, and then she turned to me and said, "Stand up and do it for the class." I call it the 6-second rule. Maybe it's 3 seconds. You see it, you know it, you do it. Okay, no thinking allowed. And the truth of it, with other teachers, like one of my primary teachers who was healing on my mother, and she was using fingers of light, or that's how I describe it. She doesn't have a word for it. She's doing this, and she turns to me and says, "You could do that." Well, she just initiated me by recognizing energetically the connection that I could do that. She empowered and transformed me, translated or transmuted to me or transmitted to me.
I like all three, I think, apply. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was gifted in that moment. I got it. It was a full body download and gift that I could do that. And now I can do it. And now I can teach other people. But I had to see it. I had to see it. I had to know it. And I'll just say something quickly around this. One of my other teachers who was very much into 0 point in technology and all this stuff, I turned to him and I said, why are you teaching me all this stuff? It's all technology. He said, yes, but if you see it in the outer world, you'll recognize that you can do it in the inner world. So the outer technology is only a reflection of your inner ability to do it.
Yeah, love it.
So for example, yeah, that is a powerful message. So every scientific experiment that you see, you can do it in the interdimensional world because you can transform energy. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah, love it. Fantastic. Look, we are coming to the wrap up of this talk. Again, I feel like when I get into your space, we could just have conversations for hours about these subjects. And we've touched upon a lot of different ideas and concepts throughout this show, and any one of them could be a spin-off show in itself. So tons of knowledge that you've got, and I absolutely love it. Tell people out there how they can get a hold of you, connect with you, and continue to learn from you, because obviously have lots to share.
Yeah, thank you. Well, there's a number of ways you can get hold of me. The group that I work with most closely on Facebook is the Dowsing and Energy Healing closed Facebook group, and I work with them every Tuesday. I actually work with anybody every Tuesday. I have a 1-hour show. It's called the Healing Hour. It's at 1 p.m. It's hosted out the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy, and on that show, I am there to answer your questions. There's a toll-free number you can call in. You can type in like you do on this show, or you can click the link and join me through BeLive. There's a link and you can come right in to the show. So it's a talk show. It's 1 p.m. every Tuesday. So that's one way to really get to know me and to ask me questions. Firstly, receive a healing. I work with you one-on-one. You can also send me an email. My inner email is Tyhson, Tyhson @me.com. Easy to get a hold of me. And say that you'd like to connect, or Dowsing Energy Healing closed Facebook page, or just type in Tyhson Banighen, Banighen on Google, and you'll see way more links than you ever want to see about how to connect with me, right?
Awesome. Fantastic. I appreciate that. You know what, Tyhson, I would invite you to leave maybe a link to your group in the comments below when we are done the show, and that way people could just click on that link below and connect with you there, or leave your email or website or whatever it is, something in the comments below so people can connect with you easily. Yeah, appreciate that. Look, I appreciate you so much taking the time and being here, a guest on the Inside Scoop. Thank you so much. You shared some wonderful and powerful information. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. For those who tuned in live and have been with us for the show, hit that like button, hit that love button, send some of those bubbles across the screen, share this out with your friends and family. Let's spread this message to more and more people. And if you do want to connect with me, you can go to CoachNickSpeaks.com and sign up for daily inspiration right to your email box to start your day in a positive vibe. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you on the next edition of the Inside Scoop. Have a fantastic day, everyone. We'll see you.
Bye for now.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.